Been a minute since we were here, huh?
Yes, sir.
Still remember how to do it? Welcome, everyone, to the Over Under Movies podcast show where we take a prominent figure of franchise in the world of filmmaking and ask the simple question: are they overrated or are they underrated? Well, we're not actually doing that in this podcast. This is a movie review episode. My name is DeAngelis. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host. He is the Falcon to my Winter Soldier. Because you're a man of color, it's Jason Gong.
Sir. Yes, sir. First of all, I think a very healthy Go Birds is in
Go Birds.
Go Birds. If you're watching this, it means the Eagles have won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, this is actually a rug pull. This is just going to be an Eagles Super Bowl podcast. Sorry to tell you guys. Sorry for you to find out this way. Yeah, Go Birds. We haven't recorded an episode in a minute, but today we are going to be doing a deep dive, spoilers, review, discussion, whatever, on the new MCU film, Captain America, Brave New World, which just came out this past weekend, Valentine's Day weekend. Were there any big rom-coms that came out this year?
No, I just saw a tweet that was like, it's crazy that they put out Anyone But You and it made hundreds of millions of dollars last year. And studios' responses was to not put any rom-coms.
Were they scared of the Captain America movie? Is that what they're saying?
I don't know any rom-coms that are coming out this year.
That's crazy.
Still dead, even though they've been doing well the last couple of years.
It's all over Netflix now. It's all on the streamers.
That's really unfortunate. But I guess the Netflix and chill, the unofficial slogan, really caught on.
It's coming around back to haunt them now.
Yeah.
Anyway, today we're talking about Captain America, Brave New World. This is the fourth Captain America film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We had Captain America, the First Avenger. We had Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Captain America, Civil War, and now Captain America, Brave New World. This movie originally was called Captain America, New World Order. They changed the name. They also changed a lot about the movie. This movie has gone through extensive reshoots behind the scenes over the course of 2-3 years, something like that.
Yeah, they, I guess, didn't really have the thing fully written out when they started shooting, and then various things happened. The writer strike happened, the actor strike happened. A lot's been going on in the world that has affected this movie, and yeah, it's possibly to its detriment. Usually when you hear about a bunch of reshoots, you're like, okay, this is for the worst. This is not a good sign for the movie.
I would agree, yeah.
Do you think in this case, these were good reshoots or bad reshoots?
Well, you just got out of the film, 10 minutes ago. You just got home from the theater. It's still fresh in your mind.
That's right.
Do you want to go first, or you want to let it stew a bit here?
I can talk about my initial thoughts.
Okay, we'll start with non-spoilers at the top here. What were your non-spoiler thoughts on Captain America: Brave New World?
I think that this movie is getting a lot of bad reviews, and I think it's fine. This is a middle of the road MCU movie, maybe erring on the side of the bottom 50% of MCU movies, but there's 35 of these movies, right? So if you're the 16th worst, you're still fine. This movie really felt like they were trying to capture the magic of Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which is the best MCU movie. And they just do everything a little bit worse, right? So Sam's the new Captain America. He's good. Anthony Mackie is a very charming and charismatic performer who is also versatile. And I think ever since he first showed up in the MCU, he's been doing a lot while being given a little. And I think that extends here as well. But they give him a new Falcon. They give him a Black Widow. And they're just now it's a spy story.
It's an espionage thriller.
Winter Soldier.
It's just like that movie you like.
So much. It's just a little bit worse in every way. The new Black Widow is not as good as Black Widow. The new Falcon was pretty charming as well, but I didn't know who he was. I think he's from the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, he was introduced in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, so I didn't get an on your left moment from him here, which is fine. That's on me, I guess, for not watching every MCU property. But their chemistry was okay. And then what I found interesting was how much of this movie just focused on Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford is almost the main character of this movie.
He must have gotten such a big paycheck because they would have been giving him millions of dollars even if he just showed up for 10 minutes as President Thunderbolt Ross. But for him to be doing this much work in an MCU movie, the budget must have been 1/3 for Harrison Ford. So that was interesting. The fights were okay. Sometimes these MCU movies, they really strain the the disbelief of physics and how much your body can endure. They make a point to say that Sam has not taken any super soldier serum, so he shouldn't be as strong as the previous Captain Americas, but he does have a Wakandan vibranium super suit, which I guess allows him to sustain massive amounts of damage.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. It's, you have to suspend disbelief. This one stretched it a little bit, but that's still fine. It was fine. I think the best action, similar to the Winter Soldier, is when he's just like fist fighting normal dudes, right? Like you get some good, solid action choreography, good. When he's fighting in the skies against fighter jets and then later fighting the Red Hulk, is like, all right, whatever. But there's good moments in this, and I don't know. I don't think I'll ever need to see it again, but if it's on TV at one of the good parts, I'll probably watch it.
Yeah, I think this movie can definitely be summed up as just a watered down version of Winter Soldier. It's just Winter Soldier, but it's worse in every imaginable way. The Captain America aspect is worse. The Black Widow is significantly worse as the sidekick. The Falcon character he's charismatic, but he's nothing like Anthony Mackie in Winter Soldier. And also the villain aspect of the film, we have nothing as compelling as the relationship between Steve and Bucky in Winter Soldier itself, and we also don't have the Captain America having to turn his back on his country as he witnesses S.H.I.E.L.D. be infiltrated by Hydra. I think like the whole conspiracy here is only tangentially related to Captain America, really. Like you said, it's more of a Thunderbolt Ross movie in a lot of ways, and Captain America is just kind of like getting in the way of that plan.
I've seen this being called a direct sequel to the 2008 Incredible Hulk movie,
Which is fucking crazy.
which is crazy.
Absolutely insane.
It's crazy because, one, the Hulk's not in this. It's insane to do a Red Hulk story without the Hulk. Also, William Hurt isn't in this. He passed away. And so they just brought back two of the actors from... Okay, now we're getting into spoiler territory.
Spoilers, that's all you get.
They bring back two of the actors from the Incredible Hulk movie, and it's not the Hulk, it's not Abomination, and it's not Thunderbolt Ross. The three, well, it's not William Hurt, the three main actors from that movie. It's Liv Tyler as Betty Ross and Tim Blake Nelson.
Tim Blake
Nelson's. He comes back. You know, they tease him. They really set him up so well in that 2008 Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, and then he like steps out of the shadows of this movie, and let me tell you, the audience was whelmed.
It's so dumb. It's like, oh, there's this big conspiracy. Who's behind it? And then it's like, oh, a character we don't recognize or remember. Like, at least with the Winter Soldier, they do a really good job casting Robert Redford and setting him up as like this all-American charming leader first before doing the rug pull and showing you that he's the bad guy. This, you can't do a conspiracy movie and be like the head honcho of the bad guys is a guy you've never met, because, you know, half the audience has not seen that movie.
Exactly. I'm sure a lot of the audience wasn't alive when that first Hulk movie came out.
And even the audience who has seen that movie, we don't care about that guy.
It's not important. There's a reason why nobody really references that Hulk film anymore. Like, it is as disconnected from the MCU as any other technically MCU project there is out there. That's intentional, since Edward Norton got recast. Liv Tyler clearly wasn't interested in continuing on with this franchise. I was legitimately shocked when she showed up in this movie for 10 seconds. Yeah. I was like, how much money did they pay her to stand in front of a green screen?
Yeah, she didn't even do anything. And I don't know. It's just weird they did all this Hulk stuff without the Hulk in it.
Yeah, maybe you can explain for people like me who are not big comic book fans, like, what is the relevance of the Red Hulk in the comics? Why is he red?
Dog, I don't know. The Red Hulk came out also around 2008. I think, yeah, he debuted in 2008. Maybe like a Jeff.
So he's a relatively new character.
Yeah, people don't know that. You know, I was talking about it recently with people at work, and I was like, yeah, you just debuted in 2008. And they were like, what? Because the way people think about comic books is like these things go back to like the 60s, the Marvel stuff anyway. They must have so many stories to pull from, but no, they really just kind of dig up whatever. And the Red Hulk basically was just designed to sell a lot of issues. They really pushed heavily that people would buy Red Hulk. And people did for a while. They mentioned it in the show Heroes. I think I might have bought a copy of Red Hulk when it came out. Like, this was back when you could sell comic books by advertising them on TV. Anyway, big part of Thunderbolt Ross's story is that he hates the Hulk. And so for him to transform into the Red Hulk means he has chosen to become the thing that he hates, or he has by circumstance become the thing that he hates, which you don't really get in this movie because it's not a Hulk movie, except it is. There's a moment when he catches a glimpse of himself in his reflection and he gets angrier, but that would be so much more impactful if he was still like, man, I hate that Hulk guy. Where's Bruce Banner right now?
Yeah, it's just so strange. And not only are they trying to integrate the movie with that, they're also heavily referencing the end of the Eternals movie, which is another film that I'm sure a lot of people have not seen. It was one of the worst MCU films at the box office ever.
Yeah, and by being a sequel to that, I mean, this is now one of the lowest rated MCU films critically. This is going to do fine at the box office.
Yeah, I saw it made like 100 million domestically, something like that. It puts it in like the middle of the pack.
It's going to make its money back.
I mean, the reported budget is 180 million, which is a lie. I just want to let everybody know they're lying about that number.
It definitely went up with the reshoots.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if they need to get this like 700 to 800 million to break even.
Well, I don't know if they'll do all that, but they'll sell toys. They'll be okay. They'll sell Halloween costumes. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, we talked about in our most anticipated pod that this is not the important MCU film of this year.
But this was the one that you picked as your...
I thought it was the most interesting, and this movie definitely, with the response to it, is certainly concerning a little bit. Like, the red lights are on a little bit for people that are fans of the MCU going, oh man, Thunderbolts you could see going poorly. And then if Fantastic Four is poorly received somehow, then they're in real trouble. Like, if they go 0 for 3 this year...
Yeah, they need to go 1 for 3 to keep making 2 or more MCU projects a year. But really, they should have gone 3 for 3, and that just already didn't happen.
Yeah, so let's go deeper into this. What about this movie doesn't work that does work in Winter Soldier?
The spy story, I think, doesn't really work. Like I said, you know, setting up Robert Redford as this good guy, this charming, charismatic leader, even if you can see the twist coming, which any savvy moviegoer should be able to do, and you know that he's going to be the bad guy. It's really well done. They at first kind of tease it, then they just show you that he's working with Bucky. He like shoots his housekeeper or something. Just shows this guy is really evil, but at first he's the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. You know, he's this guy that Captain America trusts, that Nick Fury kind of trusts. And then they do all this intrigue, you know, that sequence with Nick Fury, them trying to assassinate him. That's an awesome action sequence that also furthers the story so much. They do so much good spy stuff in that. In this movie, they're just going like from beat to beat to beat with no coolness factor added onto it. You know, at no point is this like a cool 70s spy story. It's not a fun James Bond style spy story. They are just solving the mystery as the plot requires, with very little actual intrigue. So when you try and make an espionage story and you don't deliver on the espionage, that's already a big red flag. And then, like you said, the villain's just kind of weak and not interesting.
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest issue here is that, well, number one, it's not a Captain America movie in the same way that it's as much a Captain America movie as like Captain America Civil War was, where Captain America Civil War was basically just another Avengers movie. But this needed to be a Captain America story because this is the first one with Sam as Captain America in a film, at least. It kind of makes it unfortunate that the Falcon and Winter Soldier show exists, because the plot of that show could have worked as a movie. The idea that Sam is constantly not feeling like he lives up to Steve Rogers. And in this movie, it gets into it a little bit, but he's already like passed that test. He's already become Captain America, and he's already been recognized by the government as Captain America. So they've kind of like crossed that, you know, they've gotten over that hurdle already.
Right, that should have been the movie, and then they could have made a nice little TV show for him afterwards. You know, I'm someone who hasn't seen the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, so I didn't get to see Sam not earn his wings, but earn his shield, I guess.
Yeah, already had the wings.
Yeah, but that would have been nice, and it feels like you can tell that when he does question his value as Captain America in this movie, and it does come up, that it feels like a step backwards in his story instead of a step forward. And then that moment's also kind of silly because he just gets a pep talk from Bucky. Bucky shows up for 2 minutes. Spoilers.
Yeah. You know, that was a reshoot.
Yeah, they were like, the people want to see him interact with the guy. And it's just weird. Like, these two guys are peers. They're basically equals. They were both equally Steve Rogers' sidekick in The Winter Soldier and Civil War. It was just kind of weird that he needed that pep talk from Bucky in a way that made it feel like Bucky was elevated above him. If Bucky just came as like a buddy and then was like, let me help you out and actually do something in this movie, I think that would have been a little better. But I don't know, it was just weird.
Yeah, it's interesting because the current state of the MCU, the way that they structure these films now is that basically every movie is some sort of crossover happening. You've got multiple characters that are intertwined, maybe from a show or a movie or something like that, or they were characters that just interact a lot. I think of Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch, not really two characters that interacted much previously. So you get like a whole movie where they're fighting each other, essentially. That's kind of cool. And this one, Anthony Mackie is stuck having to just carry the whole ship. And it's ridiculous that they couldn't give him another big Marvel character to like be along for the ride with him. I think that's part of what makes Winter Soldier such a good movie, is that not only do you have Nick Fury in it, and he's such like a solid character in the overall universe, but I think like Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson are like great together.
Yeah.
In Winter Soldier, they play off each other perfectly.
Yeah, and Black Widow being there really adds to the espionage element of the movie. Steve Rogers wasn't built for that type of work, but by teaming up with Black Widow, he figures it out and he's able to navigate what it means to go rogue. In this movie, Sam is ready to go rogue pretty much immediately, but it's fine. Like, there's never any real threat when the government...
Yeah, it's not the same as in Winter Soldier, where there's a point of Winter Soldier where you feel like Steve and Natasha are on their own.
Yeah, they're on the run. They're putting on disguises and stuff. In this movie, he's never really on his own.
Yeah, like once he gets like out of that bunker and he like starts teaming up with the Israeli Black Widow that is in this movie. I think her name's Sabra from the comics, which seems slightly anti-Semitic, but I guess her name is actually Sabra.
Yeah,
like the hummus.
I don't know anything about that character. So originally they were gonna have her be the superhero, the Israeli superhero Sabra, I guess. But then,
tough luck.
You know, the political climate has shifted, and now the Israel-Palestine conflict is a big part of, like, it's just on the world stage right now.
Really tough look.
And Marvel does not want that heat, so they just kind of changed her. They were like, yeah, she's not an Israeli superhero. She's a Black Widow. She was born in Israel, but that's it. And that's all we're going to say about it.
So it's not important. It's not important.
That's exactly...
Black Widow, Red Room.
Yeah. And then she doesn't get a lot to do. She's like the head of the president's security, but she's not the head of the Secret Service. That's a different character.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird they have it structured.
There's so many characters and they don't get to do anything because they're not important comic book characters.
Here's an idea. How about you swap out that character with Florence Pugh? Just put Florence Pugh in this movie instead.
Yeah, an actual Black Widow.
But yeah, have the next Captain America with the next Black Widow.
Yeah. It's okay because we'll have the next Black Widow teamed up with Bucky in the next movie.
Yeah, Thunderbolts is going to be interesting for sure.
Is gonna roll. You know what they should have done? They should have just found a way to put the Hulk in this movie if they wanted to do.
Exactly. I'm guessing Ruffalo was like, "I'm good, bro. I'm good."
I didn't even ask him because he would have said yes for a paycheck. I think he would have done.
They should have gotten She-Hulk in this. That would have been.
They should have. Anything.
That would
like,
peak.
They could have done anything to support Sam and have him. It's not even about just letting him shine. You give him a good MCU hero to play second stringer to him, and that will make him look more like Captain America. For him to lead another character that we know and love, it would have been helpful, but they didn't do that. For all the money they put into this, they didn't do a story where we get another big MCU hero.
Yeah, so like, what are the team ups that would have made this movie better? Obviously, number one, just having it be Falcon and Bucky again in this movie teaming up. That would have been awesome.
I think the Hulk after that, and then probably Yelena Black Widow after that.
Yeah, like like what you needed in this movie, and we're already in spoilers, but the ultimate spoiler for this film is the trailers of the movie, because they all have Red Hulk in it, and Red Hulk is in the last 15 minutes of the movie, and that's it. What you needed to do was have Thunderbolt Ross turn into the Red Hulk in like the middle of the movie, and then Sam fights him and gets his ass kicked, and then he has to like regroup and figure out like what makes the Red Hulk tick? Like what's going on here? And then that's when he goes to Bruce Banner, and then like Bruce Banner's with him the rest of the movie. That would have been cool.
Bruce didn't even have to turn into the Hulk. He could have just been like, here's what I do to calm myself as the Hulk, and we can figure this out together. And yeah, letting Sam lead an initiative where we see that he's going to be the leader of the next group of Avengers. That would have been cool.
Yeah, because that's a subplot of like the early part of the movie is that Sam goes to the president. The president says, I want you to work with me. I want to restart the Avengers from like, with the government kind of running things. Obviously, that didn't work very well last time. It resulted in the Sokovia Accords and all the Avengers going to shit afterwards.
Right.
However, we do know that we've got several Avengers movies coming, in the future. So there's going to be some version of an Avengers team that will exist in the future here.
Yeah, honestly, there should be a movie where Sam puts together the Avengers that happens before Doomsday. Because we're just going to enter into this multiverse thing out of nowhere, and they're just going to kind of assemble the Avengers as they go. But I think it would be good to have like a New Avengers movie. New Avengers was like a comic line in the 2000s that introduced the New Avengers after Avengers disassembled, which at this point the Avengers have been disassembled. So yes, I would like another Avengers movie. I think Sam should have probably been doing some of that in this movie, at least laying some of the groundwork to get some Avengers together, even in the post-credit scene. But
yeah, the post-credit scene, like many post-credit scenes in the MCU, it's a total nothing burger.
I think this one might be like the worst of all of them.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
That's, like I said, I think this movie is just a little bit worse than Winter Soldier, but in every way, which really drags it down. But then the post-credit scene, I think, is like much worse than most other MCU post-credit scenes. So it's just not good.
Yeah, because you come out of any Marvel film with at least the baseline expectation that it's moving the grander story forward. And it feels like this movie was less focused on doing that and more focused on closing the book on loose ends that were from other films and other shows.
Yeah, why'd they feel the need to tie up loose ends on the Incredible Hulk movie? That's crazy.
I have no idea. I guess Tim Blake Nelson was like, I'll do it. What is that character's name in the comics?
The Leader.
The Leader.
And his forehead's supposed to be way bigger. So like
I was listening to another review of that was like, if James Gunn directed this movie, his head would be enormous.
It's supposed to be so big. And that's like, because it's like his brain is what hulked out. So his brain is like this tall. I'm doing a gesture if you're just listening to the podcast.
Yeah, go watch us on YouTube.
My hands are way above my head. He's supposed to have a tall brain, and I think that would have made the movie a lot better is if they just gave him the big forehead and made a really distinct looking character, especially because at one point that character shows up in a hoodie, and I think it would have been so funny if he had a custom
a giant hood
for his tall brain.
Like the giant hats that we see people wearing at the Eagles games.
Yeah.
That's like a bit, I don't know who it came up with that idea of the giant sports hats.
It's great. Yeah, like your whole head swims in the hat.
Yeah.
And then they would perfectly fit an actual comic book accurate leader. Yes. And the leader is like, the Hulk's whole deal is that he's this genius scientist, but when he activates his superpower, he's kind of a brainless monster. So his arch enemy is the opposite. He's like a guy whose brain got really big instead, and he's a genius. So it's like a lot of times when you're watching these superhero movies, you want to see your hero outsmart a dumb villain. But for the Hulk, you just want to see your big, strong hero outpunch a genius.
Just punches him in the head over and over again.
Exactly. So the leader is like a really important enemy of the Hulk. He's right up there with Abomination as like arch enemy. But they kind of fumbled him. Also, again, the Hulk's not in this.
Yeah, the Hulk is nowhere to be found in this movie.
The Hulk's not in this.
The leader's in the raft now, so I guess they could always pluck him back out.
I guess, yeah. And then I'm not sure how much the Red Hulk and Hulk actually fight in the comics, but they're also very important foils to each other. So it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's confusing. And like going back to the spy thriller aspect of this, there was a point in time where I think this movie was called Captain America Serpent Society. And the Serpent Society is like kind of in it a little bit as like a group of mercenaries that Sam fights in the early part of the film. And their leader is Giancarlo Esposito's character. Sidewinder.
He was good.
And Giancarlo Esposito obviously is good in anything that he's in. His entire character is a rewrite from what I was reading. I'm sorry, reshoot. He was entirely reshot. He did not exist in the original script of the film.
Oh, interesting.
And he was added in later because I guess they needed like something that faked out the audience or whatever to like throw them off the trail. Did not work. And yeah, I don't know when I'm going to watch this movie again, but I've seen some people commenting on paying attention to how many shots of the film Anthony Mackie and Giancarlo Esposito are in the same frame. Apparently it's not a lot.
Yeah.
They just like shot it in a way that you're just stitching shots together.
That's interesting. Yeah, I did think he was good. I think, at no point is he a super intimidating presence because you just know that he's not going to be the one that gets Captain America. But he brought, the same level of gravitas he does to every project. And he's just kind of a lot of fun to watch on screen. He does a great job fighting Anthony Mackie too. Like Giancarlo Esposito is not a young guy, but they had him doing some stunts. And
stuff. He does a good job at like coming off as intimidating while not like just doing a Gus Fring impression.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of times you hire this guy to do a Gus Fring impression, but this time I think he got to ham it up in a slightly different direction. So I hope we see that character again. You know what? Put him in the Thunderbolts. I don't care.
Yeah, and the other thing I would have thought would be cool in this movie was like a little bit more globetrotting.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that is brought up a bit in Captain America. I'm sorry, in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think it's called Madripoor. They go to. It's some sort of like underworld city for like like trading in illegal shipments and whatnot. And there's a lot of there's like a whole subplot in the show with Zemo and with what's her name? Sharon Carter. She's in it as well. Not in this movie. Zemo is also nowhere to be found here. There's just no. It's like the biggest problem. Not only is it a problem that this is a Hulk sequel for some reason and an Eternal sequel for some reason, but it's not a sequel to Falcon and Winter Soldier.
That's so crazy.
The only thing that is like overlapping is they bring back Isaiah Bradley, who's in the show.
He's also very good.
And they bring back the new Falcon. And Isaiah Bradley, that actor is acting his ass off.
Yeah.
That older black gentleman. He does a really good job. He's such a character that you feel for. The background in him is that he was experimented on with the super soldier serum in, I guess, the 60s or something like that. They were trying to replicate the success of Steve Rogers. And I guess it kind of worked for him because he does have super strength. Apparently, the super soldier serum is pretty effective in this universe. Every character that we see that has taken the serum in some regard, that even though quote unquote failed ones, they still have the super strength. They seem pretty good.
Right. He was giving probably the best performance in the movie, the guy who played Isaiah Bradley. And like, you can also tell this is Marvel's attempt at making a statement on like the way black soldiers were treated, black veterans are treated, a statement about the incarceration of black men, the unjust incarceration. And this dude was giving a performance as if this was like gonna be a meaningful commentary about that, but it just kind of isn't. Like
it just
Marvel's
falls flat,
toothless, and no matter what side of that issue you're on, you probably might not even pick up that they're trying to say anything in this movie. It's crazy, but he does a really good job. I do think like when he was on screen, I was a little more engaged with what this movie was doing. And then they just put him in jail for the whole movie. But I don't know, like my tone right now is frustration, but that's just because I want the MCU to succeed. I'm a big nerd. I know you are too. It's a lot of fun going to these movies and seeing spectacle when they have good stories behind them.
Yeah, and I'm well aware of who the target audience is for these types of films. My worry is that we're starting to get more and more to a point where, Kevin Feige and Bob Iger, the main people that are the decision makers here, it's almost like they're dialing the quality back intentionally to see like how much they can get away with.
Mm-hmm.
To be like, well, this movie is going to make, $600-700 million, whether it's good or if it's bad. So what is our incentive to make it good?
Yeah.
And you look at, I've been watching like other MCU films in the last like week or so, just because I was curious, just as like a comparison. And it's amazing like how just bad of a movie this looks. Like it's, especially the third act is just really poorly done green screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what is going on here? it's not that they don't have the money.
They have the money.
It's got to be that they just don't care, right? Or maybe they'll blame it on the reshoots, that they were under a time crunch or something like that.
I'm sure they were, yeah.
But the end battle of this movie takes place on just a road surrounded by CGI cherry blossoms.
That was crazy.
And like just like really poor, like zoomed in green screen shots where it's Captain America with like a blurred background behind him, and it's like, this is bad.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
It's definitely interesting because you compare it even to the 2008 Incredible Hulk movie where the Hulk they were using different animation styles to make that Hulk compared to the Ruffalo Hulk 4 years later. But that Hulk looked really good, and him trashing Harlem, it looked like there was weight behind the movements, like the destruction was actually happening. This just had so much CGI debris, the CGI trees getting knocked over. It's hard to say what the cause of the regression is other than time crunch, other than, well, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe animators aren't being worked like dogs anymore. They get a break. Maybe the quality is not as good, but maybe they're getting paid more to do less. I'm fine with that if that's what's happening. My advice would be to rely less on CGI anyway. Give me more fights like the one with him and Giancarlo, because that looked a lot better than the fights between him and the Red Hulk.
This movie's also getting a little bit of flack for, I guess, what I'll call Netflix dialogue syndrome, where the characters are repeating things a lot. They're repeating plot points out loud in a way that is not natural to how humans have conversations with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that is employed a lot in Netflix shows nowadays, because Netflix is well aware of the fact that a lot of the times people are watching the show, but they're not really watching the screen. They might be doing something else while the show is on. So the characters will repeat things over and over again, or they'll just say plot points out loud, so it'll help you follow along.
Yeah.
However, when you're watching a movie in a movie theater,
you don't want that.
Ideally, the people are looking at the screen.
Hopefully.
So when they say, oh my God, it's mind control, like 5 times in the span of 10 minutes, it's like, I got it. He's doing mind control to make people do things.
I know. It's really bad. Harrison Ford, says also 5 times, he's like, I'm doing this for my daughter, who I'm currently estranged from. And I'm like, dude,
she's not answering phone calls.
I get it. Also, when she does pick up the phone, that was really weird. Like that sequence where she finally answers, she's like, I'd like to go for a walk with you, Dad. I was like, this is really an awkwardly paced piece of dialogue, and I don't understand what it's doing right now for the movie. I thought it was going to be a fake out, and he was really on the phone with the leader, and the leader was going to be like,
that's what I was expecting. I really wanted this movie to have like an actual twist to it at some point.
Yeah, but no twists.
Yeah, it's completely straightforward. And by the end of the movie, it's everybody versus the Red Hulk.
Right. Everyone starts shooting at it.
It basically turns into the end of a Hulk movie where it's everybody fighting against Hulk.
Yeah.
Except for in this one, your main character, Captain America, is part of the people fighting against him. He turns into the Red Hulk, and then 10 seconds later, the Secret Service is firing their guns at him.
Right. That's not how they're supposed to do their jobs.
Time to murder the president.
That's not what they're supposed to do. Oh, man.
It's just questionable. I think I gave this a 2 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I think this is on the lower end of MCU films. I've been rewatching some of the MCU, I guess not rewatching, I've been watching some of the MCU films that came out in the last 4 or 5 years that I've missed. And I would say that this is in the similar ballpark as like Ant-Man Quantumania or Thor Love and Thunder. I think it's
way better than
I think it's closer to those films than stuff that's in the middle. Do you think it's better or worse than Eternals?
I think it's better than the Eternals.
See, I kind of like, I don't know if I like Eternals, but I like...
You like it more than this. I mean,
I like what Chloe Zhao was trying to do.
It goes for something. Yeah. This, to me, is like...
This movie goes for nothing.
I know, but it's pretty middle of the road for me. It's a paint-by-numbers MCU film, and they get a lot of the numbers wrong. But, I still don't think it's as bad as Thor 4 or Thor 2 or Ant-Man Quantumania. It's still above those movies for me. I'll probably end up giving this like a 3, maybe a 2.5.
Yeah, this feels like the most bog standard 5 out of 10 movie you can imagine.
Right, because like I'll put this on. I probably would never put this on, but if it was on cable and I was just looking at my phone,
that's the other problem is that the movie's kind of boring for a lot of it.
Yeah, no, I know. It's only 2 hours, which is relatively short for an MCU film.
Yeah, it flies by. When we got to the Red Hulk fight, I was like, is this the end of the second act? Or is like the movie over?
No.
Nope, movie's over.
It's weird. The pacing's weird.
I'm not going to complain. I watched Black Panther Wakanda Forever the other day.
And that's what, like 2.5 hours?
It's like 2 hours, 46 minutes.
Yeah, but that movie's good.
It's long as fuck. It's too long. The movie's too long. I liked it, but the movie's too long.
That movie kind of slaps. That's one of my underrated MCU films, I think, is Black Panther 2. I think that movie's...
Should we do a top 5 underrated MCU pod to follow up our overrated one from last year?
That's pretty tough, because it's just... Yeah, I guess maybe now I'll have some more. Yeah, we can do that. Maybe before Thunderbolts comes out.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. Any other thoughts about this movie?
I think this movie is going to get forgotten so fast.
Yeah, I mean, it's
crazy.
Also going to be lost in just the sea of MCU movies.
It's wild because the Sam Wilson Captain America probably will be the leader of the Avengers, right? When Avengers Doomsday comes out.
He should be.
Because obviously Secret Wars is going to be Secret Wars, and that's going to be an ensemble of sorts. And I would not be surprised if Secret Wars ends up being similar to Infinity War, where it's several different...
groups.
Yeah, several different groups going through their own storylines throughout an entire movie. However, I'm guessing Avengers Doomsday is going to be more straightforward to a certain extent. And it'll probably be the clash between, the Fantastic Four of this other universe coming into the MCU Prime universe, and who is on this Avengers team that he's putting together. Take your bets.
Yeah, let's see. So it'll be Captain America.
Okay.
The Falcon can be there. Captain Marvel might be there. Kamala Khan, Shang-Chi. Oh, Shuri, Black Panther.
Okay. Wow, this is a great group we got going here.
It is crazy. Oh, the Hulk. Yeah, like obviously.
Which Hulk is showing up?
Both of them.
Both of them.
3 of them. Red, Original, and She.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Hulk's son that we see.
No. Well, maybe. Yeah. No, it is interesting because this was always going to be a problem, right? Like they brought out their biggest heroes. They let them do their thing for 10 to 15 years, and then they had to retire because they don't want to do this anymore. And so now you have these heroes who are not as well known, not as established from the comics or the movies, and you're still trying to pin a massive, the biggest franchise of all time on them. And it's a tough endeavor. I think Anthony Mackie, he's got the talent to pull it off. He's got the talent to be the next Captain America, but this movie did not set him up for that. And then a Disney Plus TV show also isn't really enough to do it.
That's the thing, is that I think any new Avengers team that they go with has to have at least like a few characters that are rolling over from what we had seen previously.
I don't think Brie Larson wants to do this. I don't think she wants to.
Yeah, that's almost like where you have to start, is like what actors are cool just like showing up every now and then to be in these movies.
Mark Ruffalo will do it.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo's in. I think Benedict Cumberbatch is like,
he'll do it.
I'll show up as Doctor Strange anytime.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Tom Holland will do it.
Yeah, Tom Holland, once he's done hanging out with Zendaya.
Yeah, well, did you see he can only shoot a few scenes as Spider-Man in Doomsday because he's shooting the Odyssey at the same time.
Oh,
so he's going to show up as Peter Parker.
Christopher Nolan stepping on the toes of the MCU.
But I think he's possibly never putting the suit on, and they're going to have a stunt double every time it's
great.
His turn. So we'll see.
Because it really does feel like this universe is just like dragging a corpse until they can do some sort of like Avengers versus mutant storyline. They really need the X-Men in this universe.
That'll be awesome. There's still so much good stuff.
Because there's your Avengers team. Like once like you start pulling in mutants into everything.
Yeah, a few X-Men have been Avengers. At one point, they made an Avengers team specifically to increase human mutant relations. So half the Avengers on that team were just X-Men. So they could get to that point at some point. X-Men's awesome. seeing the MCU version of the X-Men will hopefully be cool and not like this gasping for air version of the MCU that we're seeing now. I think the Fantastic Four will be good, and I think Thunderbolts will be good too, so we'll see.
Yeah, but that's going to be our spoilers discussion here for Captain America Brave New World. It is interesting that it came out on Valentine's weekend and that it was the main draw of the box office. Everybody was going on their Valentine's Day dates on Friday night after the Super Bowl parade.
I saw a few couples at the theater today. People like these movies still. Someone clapped at the end of this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Israeli Black Widow, she like tries to like tell like a sexual innuendo joke about Bucky, like when Bucky's leaving.
Yeah.
And like the theater was dead silent. It was so awkward.
Dude, my whole theater laughed at that, and I was like, "What, you guys? That wasn't funny."
No, honestly, that woman kind of like freaked me out. I couldn't tell if it was a weird camera trick or if she was like actually like 4'8".
She was definitely short.
She's a very small human.
Yeah.
And I was like, why can't you have Florence Pugh be here, or just like, I don't know, more like normal looking woman? It might be a weird way to say it, but
I think she was a normal enough looking person. She was just short.
yeah, she was just awkward. This is like awkward character in the movie, and also the fact that like that actress is, I believe, is like a fairly unknown actress.
Yeah, I don't really understand.
I guess Gal Gadot wasn't available to be the IDF soldier in the movie.
I guess not.
Are you familiar with the director of this movie at all?
No, are you?
He directed a movie called The Cloverfield Paradox,
Right.
which came out on Netflix. It was The Cloverfield Paradox. It dropped on Netflix the night that the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2018.
Oh, so that was a bad movie, right? It got bad reviews.
It got bad reviews. Yeah, it was an attempt to explain the Cloverfield universe, like what is going on. It was like a crew up in a space station and like weird stuff is happening with like a parallel universe.
Because I remember the trailer playing at the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Yeah, the trailer played on the Super Bowl and it was like, this movie's out now.
That's so funny.
And people are like, oh my God, I gotta go watch Cloverfield Paradox.
Yeah, I mean, we should do an episode on those Cloverfield movies at some point.
Yeah, I've never seen 10 Cloverfield Lane.
That's the only good one.
I've heard that's the best one.
That's the only good one.
I kind of like Cloverfield. Cloverfield's fun.
I haven't seen Cloverfield or Cloverfield Paradox. So we've each not seen the Cloverfield movies.
The real question is, have you seen Cleavage Field, the porno parody of Cloverfield?
Not. Is it good?
No comment. I've seen screenshots of they don't use a CGI monster. They use like a blow up dinosaur doll on like a miniature set. It's actually kind of inspired. It's better CGI than the end of Brave New World. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this episode, guys. Jason, we got more episodes coming, you think?
Probably.
Knocking off the rust a little bit here.
Yeah. We took a little break to.
Are we getting the couch setup going? We gotta go looking for a couch.
Oh, right. I have to text my friend. He said he has a couch to give away.
Pretty clutch.
Anyway.
Doing this live on the pod. Anyway, check us out on Spotify, Apple Pods, wherever you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube for video podcasts. We are trying to upload more TikToks, get our short form game going.
Right.
Make sure you check our very special TikTok.
Yeah, no, we do have good stuff coming out. I made a bunch of TikToks. I just haven't put them up yet. I made them. I mean, I used that whatever.
Oh, use Opus Clip.
And they're kind of bad, so like I have to go fix them.
It's tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, the AI clipping stuff is cool because you get the heavy quantity, but then you go watch them and you go,
I'm like, this won't do anything.
This ain't great.
Yeah. So I released one, I think, and then the misconnections post. So we did up our engagement a little, but
yeah,
we got to get on that more.
It's looking good. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of the Over Under Movies podcast. We will see you at the movies.
Bye.
Later.